Every failed manifestation begins with a misalignment between what you feel and who you truly are. You can repeat affirmations, visualize every day, use all kinds of advanced techniques, but if your vibration is fragmented, the universe won't respond, it will only return distortions. There's something subtle, yet decisive, that separates the intention that becomes reality from the one that never leaves your mind. And it has nothing to do with effort, willpower, or how many times you've tried. The frequency you emit isn't defined by what you want, but by what you hold within yourself. And this is the part most people miss. Because it's not about wanting more, it's about becoming compatible. Your external reality isn't wrong. It simply reflects, with precision, the energy you consistently send out. And the more you insist on techniques without aligning your essence, the further away the result gets. That's why so many people feel stuck, trapped in an invisible cycle. What's at stake here isn't just manifestation, it's vibrational identity. And once you understand this, everything changes. There is an inner alignment that turns your presence into a constant force of resonance. A state where your thoughts, emotions, and actions don't compete, they merge. And this is exactly the state that Thoth used to teach. True manifestation begins when you stop trying to manipulate the external world and start generating coherence within. That's when your vibration rises effortlessly, and the world starts to respond not to your requests, but to your frequency. In the next few minutes, you'll understand how to access that state, and why, without it, any technique becomes nothing more than an illusion of control. This is the key that Thoth encoded for the initiates, and today you're going to decode it. There is a vibrational code that comes before any true manifestation, an internal pattern that, once adjusted, reorganizes the way reality responds to your presence. This code doesn't rely on beliefs, religion, or temporary emotional states. It's anchored in the unchanging laws that govern the invisible field of existence. Thoth, the Hermetic master of ancient wisdom, taught that all creation is sound, frequency, and vibration, and that the one who masters their vibration masters the flow of reality. But this isn't about a forced, artificial vibration or one manipulated to attract something. It's the natural result of an internal state of coherence, where there's no division between what you think, feel, and do. This coherence isn't a philosophical ideal, it's a practical key that has been applied by initiates for millennia. The secret isn't in repeating what you want, but in becoming vibrationally compatible with what you want. And that only happens when there's alignment between intention, emotion, and action. That alignment is a gateway, and every time you enter it, your frequency rises instantly, because what was in conflict comes into harmony. Thoth didn't teach techniques to please gods, but maps to transform the human being into a conscious channel of creation. The Hermetic law of vibration reveals that nothing is still. Everything moves, everything vibrates. But what almost no one understands is that this vibration can be directed, refined, and tuned. And when that happens, the world around you responds like a perfectly calibrated echo. You're not here to learn another technique. You're here to remember how to align your field with the essence that vibrates beyond time. Because when that alignment happens, manifestation is no longer a goal, it becomes an inevitable consequence. In the next few minutes, you'll access that map and understand why so many try to manifest. But only those who are aligned truly succeed. Long before modern schools of psychology and quantum physics started discussing the influence of the mind over matter, the ancients already understood that everything in the universe is vibration. This wasn't a poetic metaphor, but a functional knowledge passed down only to the initiates of the great mystery schools. Thoth, known to the Greeks as Hermes Trismegistus, was the guardian and transmitter of this wisdom. In the Egyptian tradition, he wasn't just a god of writing or wisdom. He was the living archetype of consciousness aligned with cosmic order, able to access the subtle planes of reality through frequency. The texts attributed to him, such as the Corpus Hermeticum and the legendary Emerald Tablet, don't speak of beliefs or dogmas. They point to universal laws that govern both the macrocosm and the microcosm, revealing that the human being is a vibrational extension of the whole. Among these principles, the law of vibration holds a central place. Everything vibrates, everything moves, nothing is at rest. But the deepest teaching lies hidden beneath this simplicity. True power doesn't come just from recognizing that everything vibrates. It comes from learning to consciously align your own vibration with higher patterns. Thoth taught that this inner mastery was what separated the uninitiated from the initiate. Because while many try to change the world through disconnected actions, the true mage silently reshapes reality through inner harmony. This harmony isn't passive. It requires discernment, presence, and clear intention. That's why, in Hermetic traditions, the process of manifestation was never seen as an impulsive act of desire, but as the natural outcome of self-refinement. The initiate would go through stages of inner purification to reach a state where their vibration no longer fluctuated with the chaos of the world. It was at that point that they became a channel of the higher will, able to create, influence, and transform simply by existing in a pure frequency. Vibrational alignment, then, is not a modern concept wrapped in ancient mysticism. It's a hidden legacy that has always been present, waiting to be remembered by those ready to transcend. Modern science, though often expressed in technical language, is beginning to precisely validate what the ancients intuitively understood. Institutions like the HeartMath Institute have proven that the human body emits a measurable electromagnetic field, and that this field expands or contracts depending on your internal emotional state. When there's coherence between the heart and the brain, in other words, between emotion and thought, that field organizes itself harmoniously, creating highly stable vibrational patterns. These patterns, in turn, affect not only the physical body, but also the surrounding environment. Joe Dispenza, in his studies on neuroscience applied to personal transformation, shows that the quantum field doesn't respond to isolated intentions, but to a vibrational state that is sustained over time and through repetition. In other words, it's not enough to want something. You need to become the kind of field that naturally attracts what you desire. This confirms, in scientific terms, what Thoth had already taught thousands of years ago, that external reality responds to the vibration you consistently emit. Carl Jung also contributed to this understanding by proposing that the unconscious psyche shapes external events through inner symbols and patterns. Quantum physics, on the other hand, reveals that the observer influences the behavior of matter. But what few point out is that this observer is not just visual, it is vibrational. You influence reality not just with your attention, but with the field you maintain while observing. When science and ancient wisdom meet at this point, the message becomes impossible to ignore. Your vibration is your signature in the universe, and it is constantly shaping reality, whether you realize it or not. True vibrational elevation doesn't happen by chance, nor is it the result of random techniques. It follows a natural, precise, and repeatable process as long as inner alignment is honored. Thoth did not offer shortcuts, but codes that, when activated in the right sequence, open portals of expansion, and this process begins within. not in desire, not in the repetition of phrases, but in the vibrational structure you hold in the unseen. To make this easier to apply, this path can be divided into steps. Each one acts as a point of release and realignment for your neuroquantum field. Step 1. Silence the chaotic field. Before any transmutation can occur, you must interrupt the vibrational noise that distorts your original frequency. This noise isn't just external. It arises from mental overactivity, chronic emotional tension, and disconnection from the body. Silencing the field is like resetting your baseline frequency. Deep, conscious breathing, practiced for a few minutes with focus on the center of the chest, already begins this process. Inner silence creates space for coherence to begin emerging naturally. Step 2. Reconnect with your original vibration. With your field stabilized, it's time to access the frequency that exists beyond the ego, beyond the busy mind. This frequency is your vibrational signature, the point where your soul, mind, and body meet in harmony. To access it, bring to mind an image, a sensation, or a memory in which you felt whole, complete, and connected. Allow that state to fill your body. Don't think about it, feel it. This is your first contact with what Thoth called the vibrational memory of essence, a living memory of who you are before fragmentation. With the field stabilized and your original frequency accessed, the next step is to direct that energy consciously to shape your reality. Manifestation is not a matter of chance, but the result of coherence between intention and sustained vibration. Step 3. Encode the intention with vibrational clarity. Intention is the seed of reality. But for that seed to grow, it must align with the vibration of your being. That means it's not enough to want something. You must feel as if you already have it. Visualize it in detail, feel the emotions connected to it, and allow that experience to become real in your energy field. This practice activates what Thoth referred to as the creative word, where thought, emotion, and spoken word come together to generate. Step 4. Sustain the frequency with consistency. Once the intention is encoded, it's essential to maintain that frequency. This requires emotional and mental awareness. Avoid thoughts that contradict your goal, and cultivate emotions that reinforce your intention. Daily practices like gratitude, meditation, and positive affirmations are effective tools for this. Remember, reality responds to the frequency you sustain, not just to what you momentarily wish for. By silencing the field, reconnecting with your original vibration, encoding a clear intention, and sustaining it consistently, you're already acting as a vibrational architect of your own reality. But there is one final step, often overlooked, that sets apart those who access immediate results from those who remain stuck in stagnation. Step 5. Release control and enter resonance. This is where many stumble. They try to control every detail of manifestation, constantly check the timing, or seek immediate signs from the universe. But Thoth taught that the true mage vibrates and lets the world respond. To enter resonance is to trust that your frequency will do the work. It is to remain present, open, and in flow, without creating anxiety over the outcome. This surrender is not passivity, it is vibrational maturity. It means you have already become compatible with what you desire, and now allow the quantum field to reorganize reality around you. At this stage, everything begins to shift. People, ideas, situations, all are drawn to you with precision, because your vibration no longer wavers. You become a fixed point within the unseen, and that changes everything. The process is complete, and the universe silently responds. Jack spent years studying manifestation techniques. He read dozens of books, watched hundreds of videos, tried visualizations, repeated affirmations, wrote down his goals every day, but nothing seemed to truly work. He made small gains, but everything would eventually slip away, as if something invisible kept pulling him back to the starting point. He felt trapped in a cycle of quiet frustration. He knew there was something greater, but couldn't access it. Then, exhausted, he stopped. Literally stopped. He stopped trying to force it, stopped chasing miraculous methods, stopped trying to control every detail. And in the silence he found between one attempt and the next, something began to shift. He realized his thoughts were always in conflict with his feelings. He desired abundance, but felt fear. He visualized freedom, but acted out of insecurity. He saw that the frequency he was holding was fragmented. From there, he began a new process. Instead of continuing to seek outside himself, he started observing what was happening within. He created a daily space of silence. He breathed, he felt, he simply observed. He reconnected with an old sensation, a moment when he had felt truly alive, at peace. He began acting from that state, no longer from anxiety. He no longer looked for signs, he became the sign. Within just a few weeks, results began to appear. Opportunities arose, relationships aligned, and a deep clarity took hold of his path. Jack hadn't discovered a new technique. He had remembered who he truly was, and that memory was the vibration he had been missing. The biggest obstacle for those seeking to raise their frequency and manifest with awareness isn't the technique. It's the fluctuation. Even after understanding the process, many slip back into old patterns without realizing it. A single doubtful thought, an unprocessed emotion, an action that contradicts the intention, and the vibrational field falls back into noise. This cycle of aligning and misaligning creates silent frustration. You feel like you were close, but lost the thread. And that undermines your confidence, destabilizes your frequency, and reinforces the pattern of scarcity or fear. The solution lies in energetic vigilance, not as obsessive control, but as active presence. Whenever you feel disconnected, return to center. Breathe. Find stillness. Remember your original frequency. This ongoing reconnection builds vibrational resilience. Thoth taught that the true alchemist doesn't avoid fluctuation, he observes it and turns it into learning. It's this conscious return, repeated with awareness, that strengthens the stability of your field and transforms practice into state. True vibrational elevation is not an external pursuit. It begins the moment you stop chasing what you want and start vibrating as someone who already is. All the techniques in the world become useless if your internal field remains misaligned. But when you become coherent within, when what you feel, think, and do are in harmony, the universe no longer needs to be convinced. It simply responds. This is not an empty, metaphysical promise. It's a principle that transcends cultures, religions, and even the boundaries of modern science. Thoth taught this as law. Vibration is the language of creation, and everything you sustain with presence and truth will manifest. You no longer need to prove anything to the world. You only need to remember who you are in the silence where your original frequency still pulses. There, you rediscover your compass. There, your reality begins to be shaped by resonance, not effort. Transformation happens the moment you stop identifying with the noise and begin anchoring what is stable, subtle, and real. As Hazrat Inayat Khan once wrote, "The soul of music is in the sound that is not heard, but felt. That is where God dwells." This is the essence of vibrational alignment. To feel what is unseen, to vibrate what has not yet arrived, and to hold that frequency until it becomes flesh, form, life. Now you hold the keys. And not to repeat concepts, but to adjust your frequency and walk as someone who already inhabits what they desire. You are no longer a piece trying to fit into the world. You are the field that transforms everything around you. Manifestation is not something you achieve. It is something you become. If this message resonated with you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Write in the comments, "My vibration is my signature in the unseen." That phrase is your vibrational commitment to true alignment. Share this video with someone who needs to reconnect with their original frequency. Click on the screen and continue your journey with another transformative video where forgotten wisdom becomes practical tools for reconnection. Because when you vibrate with truth, the world doesn't resist, it reorganizes itself.